Hi guys, good morning. So today we are going to discuss our next topic, that is the myofunctional appliances. So the myo means the muscle and the functional appliances are the one which are used for the growth modification. Right? That are aimed at treating the basic aim of the myofunctional appliances is to treat the jaw discrepancies. Right? So the myofunctional appliances or the functional appliances, they can bring about the increase or decrease in the jaw size. They can change in the direction of the growth of the jaws, the acceleration of the desired growth, and change in the spatial relationship of the jaws. So these are the changes that we can bring by using the functional appliances. Fine. So in this, the myofunctional or the functional appliances, these are work on the two basic principles. Number one, on the force application and on the force elimination. So the appliances which work on the force applications, these are the fixed and the removable functional appliances. While the force elimination, it means the elimination of all the abnormal and restrictive environmental influences on a dentition. Fine. So the next two terminologies are the myotonic appliance and the myodynamic appliance. Very important, commonly asked MCQ. So what is the difference between the myotonic and the myodynamic? So the myotonic appliances, these depend on the muscle mass for their action, while the myodynamic, they depend on the muscle activity for their function. See, the myotonic, these are depend on the muscle mass for their action, and the myodynamic, they depend upon the muscle activity for their function. Very important terminologies. So after this, coming on to the action. So these are the action of the functional appliances. They can bring about the orthopedic changes in which they cause the accelerating or they accelerate the growth in the condylar region. The change in the direction of the growth of the jaws. They also bring about the dentoalveolar changes in all the three planes. That is, in the sagittal plane, in the transverse plane, and in the vertical plane. In the sagittal plane, they bring about the upper anteriors, they tip palatally, and the lower anteriors, they tipped labially in the sagittal or in the anterior posterior direction. In the transverse direction, it causes the expansion of the dental arches or the expansion of the narrow arches, and vertically it allows the selective eruption of the teeth. Right? Third are the muscular changes. So they improve the tonicity of the orofacial musculature. Fine. So please remember the 2 points. Number one, the myofunctional appliances, these are mainly given in class 2 patients with the retrognathic mandible. Fine. So in this, when we place the appliance or when we place the myofunctional appliance, we ask the patient to bring his mandible into the forward direction. Now next is the VTO, very important for your MCQ. So the VTO means the visual treatment objective. So this is a test that enables us to visualize how the patient profile looks after the functional appliance therapy. So in this, what we have to do is, it is performed by asking the patient to bring his mandible in a forward direction. So if there is an improvement in his or her profile, that is, if the VTO is positive, then we proceed with the myofunctional or the functional appliances. If the profile is improved, or there is an improvement in the profile when the patient brings his mandible in the forward direction, it means the VTO is positive. Then only we have to treat this case with the help of the functional appliances. If when the patient brings his mandible in a forward direction and the profile it get worsen, then we are not supposed to give this myofunction or the function appliances. So in that case we have to opt for another treatment modalities. So the basic function or the basic use of the video is just to check the improvement in the profile when the patient brings his mandible in a forward direction. Fine. So after this, next is the vestibular screen. So it was given by Newell in 1912, and the vestibular screen we have already discussed. It is also called as the oral screen. It is mainly given in the patient having a mouth breathing habit. It is also used in case of your tongue thrusting, thumb sucking, lip biting and your cheek biting. Right? Very important point. The vestibular screen, it works on both the principles, that is on the force elimination and on the force application. And the modification, the Hotz modification. So in the Hotz modification, the oral screen, it can be fabricated with a metal ring projection. Second is the vestibular screen, it is modified with the fabrication of a number of holes. Right? So after this, next is the lip bumper. So the lip bumper, it is also called as combined removable fixed appliance, commonly asked MCQ. So the lip bumper, it is used in the both the arches in the mandible. When the lip bumper it is used in the mandible, it is called as lip bumper. When the lip bumper it is used in the maxillary arch, it is called as a Denholtz appliance. MCQ. So the lip bumper, it is used in the patient having a lip habit like the lip sucking. It is used to augment the anchorage. Also it helps in distalization of the first molars, and it is also used as a space regainer. Important. Right? So after this, let's start with the activator first. So the activator, it was given by Andresen and Hoppel. Since the activator was given by Andresen and Hoppel in Norway, it is also called as Norwegian appliance. Right? Then later they called the Norwegian appliance as a activator. Why? Due to its ability to activate the muscle force. That is why it is called as activator. So there is a big history about the activator, starting with the first at Kingsley in 1879. He first devised a vulcanite palatal plate, and he used this vulcanite palatal plate in a patient having a retruded mandible. Later on, the Hotz, he devised a Vorbis plate, which was again a modification of a Kingsley plate. Fine. Third one, which is important for your MCQ, the Perry Robin, he devised an appliance which is called as a monoblock. Fine. So coming on to the indication of, and this is an activator. Coming on to the indications of an activator, it is indicated in class 2 division 1 cases, it is indicated in class 2 cases and class 2 division 2 cases. It is indicated in class 3, class 1 with the open bite, class 1 with the deep bite. The contraindications are, it cannot be used in patients having in class 1 with the crowded teeth, in the children with the nasal stenosis, in a non-growing individual. These are the contraindications. So next is the construction bite, but before discussing the construction bite, please note the 3 important points regarding the myofunction appliances, which are very important for your MCQ. First is the myofunction appliances. These are given in class 2 with the retruded mandible. or the retrognathic mandible. Second, the myofunctional appliances, these are given in a growing patient. Third, the myofunctional appliances are given in a patient having a positive VTO, visual treatment objective. These are very important points. Fine. So after this, coming on to the construction bite. So the construction bite, it is an intermaxillary bite. This is an intermaxillary bite or intermaxillary wax record, which is used to relate the maxilla to the mandible in all the 3 dimensions. Fine. So they are used to reposition the mandible in a forward direction. So in this, the forward positioning of the mandible as well as the opening of the bite, it is measured. So I am repeating it again. So a construction bite, that is the intramaxillary wax, it is used to place between the maxillary and the mandibular arch of a patient, and then you ask the patient to bring his mandible in a forward direction. So when he brings his mandible in the forward direction, in that case the bite is registered, which involves the forward positioning of the mandible. It means the advancement and the opening of the bite vertically, that is the vertical bite opening. So in this case you have to record the advancement, that is the forward movement, and the vertical opening of the bite. Right? So in this, there are 2 types of activator, very important for your MCQ. There are 2 types of activator, the H activator and the V activator. So the H activator, it means when you ask the patient to bring his mandible into forward direction, then there will be low construction bite with the marked mandibular forward positioning. It means that the advancement is more and the opening is, or the vertical opening is less, and it is usually indicated, the H activator, it is usually indicated in a patient having a class 2 division 1 malocclusion and having an horizontal growth pattern. That is why H is for horizontal. Fine. V type of activator, in this it is the high construction bite with a slight mandibular forward positioning. In this, the advancement is less and vertical opening is more. So it is indicated in class 2 division 1 having a vertical growing pattern. So H is for the horizontal growth pattern, V is for the vertical growth pattern. In the H, in the horizontal one, the advancement, it means when the patient brings his mandible into forward direction, this is the advancement is more and the opening, vertical bite opening is less, while in the vertical or in the V activator, the advancement is less and the vertical opening is more. Right? So the activator, it consists of only one wire bending, that is the labial move. Fine. And the Adams clasp, it is usually incorporated for the retention purpose. Right. So the modifications of the activator, in this we have the bow activator of the AM Schwartz, the Wondrous modification, reduce activator or the cybernator of the Schmutt, the propulsor, the cutout or the palatal free activator, the Kawitsky modification, and the Heron's modification. Important for your MCQ. Fine. So this is all about your activator. Now second is the bionator. So the bionator, it was given by W. Balter in 1950. Important. It is similar to that of the activator, but the only difference between the activator and the bionator is that the bionator, it is less bulky than that of the activator, and it is more elastic than that of the activator. Right? So in this we have 3 types of activator. We have the standard appliance, we have the class 3, and we have the open bite. So the basic difference between the activator in the activator appliance and the in the biometer appliance is that the Balter, he removes the palatal acrylic, while in the activator there is an palatal acrylic. This is the palatal acrylic, while in biometer this is the only difference, that the Balter, in the biometer, he removes the palatal acrylic and he placed the palatal bow. This is the palatal bow. By removing the palatal acrylic, he placed the palatal bow. Fine. So let's discuss all the three biometers one by one, starting with the standard appliance. So the standard appliance, it is used for the treatment of class 2 division 1 and in case of class 1 malocclusion having a narrow dental arch. Fine. So it has the two components. It has a palatal arch and it has a vestibular component. So the palatal arch or the palatal bow, it is made up of 1.2 mm diameter wire. The palatal arch, it is kept 1 mm away from the mucosa. Important point. Fine. I'm writing over here. The palatal arch, it is kept 1 mm away from the mucosa. Next is the rounded arch. This is the rounded arch. It is placed posteriorly. This is the only difference between these three. In the standard one, the rounded arch, it is placed posteriorly. Right. Next is the vestibular. So this is the vestibular. So it is made up of 0.9 mm of the stainless steel wire. Right. One thing more, that the biometer, very important point for your MCQ, the biometer, it is not activate the muscle, but it modulate the muscle activity. Important. The biometer, it does not activate the muscle, but it modulate the muscle activity. Right. So second is the class 3, as the name suggests, it is given in class 3 patient having a mandibular prognathism. Right. So in this, the only difference is the palatal arch. This is the palatal arch and it is placed in the opposite direction, so that the round end, it is placed anteriorly, while in this, in the standard appliance, the round end of the palatal arch, it is placed posteriorly, while in class 3 the rounded end, it is placed anteriorly. Right. Third is the open bite. As the name suggests, it is used in the open bite cases. So the purpose of the open bite biometer is to prevent the tongue from the thrusting between the teeth. Fine. So in this, the maxillary acrylic, it is modified in the anterior area. Fine. So in this, the anterior area is covered just to prevent the tongue thrusting. So next is the function regulator. So it was given by Rolf Frankel in year 1966. Very important point, the function regulator, it is also called as the Frankel appliance. It is also called as vestibular appliance and oral gymnastic appliance. Fine. So very important point regarding this, which was commonly asked as an MCQ, is that the oral screen, please note it down, and the function regulator, these two are the tissue borne appliances or the vestibular appliances. Very important for your MCQ. Fine. So the FR or the function regulator, these are basically of 5 types. Type 1, it is given or it is used in the treatment of class 1, in class 2 division 1 malocclusion. Fine. So there are 3 types of FR1, that is FR1A, which is used in class 1 with the minor to moderate crowding. It is also used in class 1 with the deep bite. While class 1B, it is used in class 2 division 1 where the overjet it is not exceeded to 5 mm, and in FR1C it is given in class 2 division 1 where the overjet is more than 7 mm. Don't get confused, these types are very important and commonly asked MCQ. So as the name suggests, the function regulator 2, it is given in class 2 division 1 and 2. The FR3, it is given in class 3. FR4, it is given in open bite and bimaxillary protrusion, and the FR5, it is incorporated with the headgear. It is commonly asked MCQ. Right? Coming on to the FR2. So the FR2, it is having a 2 component, the acrylic component and the wire component. The acrylic component, these are the buccal shield, the lip pads, the lower lingual pads, while the wire components, see, these are the buccal shield, these are the lip pads, these are also called as pallets, and inside there is a lower lingual pad like this. And the wire components, these are number 1, the palatal bow, the labial bow, canine extension. It is canine extension, it helps to guide the eruption of the canine. And then the upper lingual wire, the lingual crossover wire, support wire for the lip pads, and the lower lingual spring. So in this, important are the lip pads. These are the lip pads. It is given in FR2. It means the mandible is retrognathic. What you have to do is you just need to bring the mandible into a forward direction. Fine. So the lip pads in that case is present in the mandibular arch. This is commonly asked MCQ. In FR2, your lip pads, these are mainly present in the mandibular arch, and the lower lip pads, these are also called as the palates. Fine. So the lip pads, these are very important, helps in elimination of the abnormal perioral muscle activity. Very important point. And second very important point is that the lip pads, they cause the periosteal pull. Right? They cause the periosteal pull, which leads to the bone growth. So due to your retrognathic mandible, you have to place the lip pads in the mandibular arch. So the lip pads, these are causes the periosteal pull, which helps in the bone growth. Important point, commonly asked MCQ. Fine. So next are the buccal shields. These two are the buccal shields. So the buccal shields, these are also called as the vestibular shield. So what are the function of the vestibular shields? They helps in the unrestricted dento-alveolar development. Fine. And the vestibular or the buccal shield, they also cause the periosteal bone deposition. Again, these two are very important. So next is the FR3. As the name suggests, it is given in, or it is indicated in class 3 malocclusion, and which are having a maxillary retrusion mandibular prognathism. Fine. So this applies, it should be used in the mixed dentition, and during the deciduous dentition, and during the early permanent dentition. MCQ. Fine. So in this, these are the lip pads. Now the lip pads, these are appeared as a teardrop. MCQ. The shape of the palates or the shape of the lip pads, these are like a teardrop in the sagittal section. So now there is the retrusion in the maxilla, so your lip pads, these are present in the maxillary arch. And in the class 2 or in the FR2, your mandibular or your mandible was retrognathic. In that case, you use the lip pads in the lower arch or in the mandibular arch, while in the class 3 there is the retrognathic maxilla, so in that case you use the lip pads in the upper arch. Fine. Again, last point which is important, that the lip pads, these are used to stimulate the maxillary growth or the maxillary bone growth. Fine. So this is all about the functional regulator. The types are very important for your MCQ, and the function of the lip pads and the vestibular screen, and what is the basic difference between the lip pads in the class 3 and in class 2. These are the basic MCQs. So after this, next is the twin block, which is most commonly used nowadays and also very important. Fine. So twin block, it was given by the William Clark in year 1977. So it is a myofunctional appliance which consists of these are the inclined planes. Fine. So inclined planes with the intermaxillary and extraoral traction. So the appliance, it consists of an upper plate and a lower plate, fine, having an occlusally inclined planes like this upper and like this lower, having an occlusal plate and having an this is the inclined plane. Right. So in this, the upper plate, this is the upper plate, this is retained by the delta clasp. Why you are using delta clasp instead of Adams clasp? As we have already discussed, that the delta clasp, it is like this, which is less prone to fracture. That is why we use the delta clasp in the twin block appliance. Fine. So the upper plate, it is retained by the delta clasp or the arrowhead clasp. So the clasp, it is incorporated into the tube for the attachment of the face board. Second is in the maxillary arch, there is the expansion screw. Why? For the expansion of the maxillary arch. If the arch is constricted, then only you have to incorporate this expansion screw for the maxillary arch expansion. Right? So the upper, this is the upper block. It consists of a bite block which covers the lingual surfaces or the lingual cusp of the upper posterior teeth, extending anteriorly till the mesial ridge. This is the mesial ridge of the upper second premolar. Right? And in the lower arch or in the lower bite block, it extends distally along up to the distal margin of the second premolar. So this is the inclined plane. So the angle between the two inclined planes is 70 degree. Very important, commonly asked MCQ. Right? Why? And the lower molars, these are kept free from the bite block. Why? For their free eruption. For the free eruption of the mandibular molars, these are kept free. Right? And the bite blocks, they interlock at 70 degree. Right? So this is all about the twin block. Most commonly used myofunctional appliance nowadays is twin block. So after this, coming on to the fixed functional appliances. So in this, first is the Herbst appliance. It was given by Emil Herbst, and this Herbst appliance, it was reintroduced by Hans Penchers in year 1979. Commonly asked MCQ. Fine. So the indication of the it is of two types, the banded and the bonded type. The indication of the Herbst appliances, it is indicated in class 2 malocclusion, it is indicated in the post-adolescent patient, and it is indicated in the mouth breathers. So this is an appliance which is compared to an artificial joint between the maxillary and the mandibular arch. The artificial joint. Fine. So in this, see, there is a telescopic or bilateral telescopic mechanism keeps the mandible mechanically in a continuous anterior position, the anterior position. Fine. So this device, it consists of a tube. So this is the tube. This appliance, it consists of a tube, fine, into which this is the plunger. This is the plunger. It consists of a tube into which the plunger, which resembles like a rod, it fits. It fits into the tube. Right? So the tube, it is fixed onto the distal end of the maxillary molar, while the rod, it is fixed to the lower first premolar. Right? This is the Herbst appliance. It is of two types, banded and the bonded. So banded means upper and the lower first premolar and the molar, these are banded, and bonded type means the bonded type of Herbst appliance in which the wire reinforced acrylic splint, which covers the occlusal part of the buccal and the lingual surfaces of the teeth. Right? So in this, the treatment effects are: number one, the Herbst appliance, it is used for the treatment of class 2 malocclusion. It is used in class 1 molar lesion or in overcorrected class 1 molar lesion. Third, it is used to increase the mandibular growth. Fourth is overjet reduction, by increase the mandibular length. Very important point is that it increase the SNB. SNB means your sella to nasio, nasio to point B, which is on the mandibular. So when this appliance brings the mandible forward, there is an increase in SNB angle. So the treatment effect is it increases in the SNB angle, therefore decrease in SNA angle. Very important point. Right? So this is all about your Herbst appliance. Next and the last fixed function appliance is the Jasper jumper. So it was given by J.J. Jasper in year 1980. It is somewhat similar to the Herbst appliance, but it lacks rigidity. Important. And it is indicated in skeletal class 2 malocclusion with the maxillary excess and the mandibular deficiency. So discussing about the appliance design. So the appliance, it is uses the modular system. Why? Because this Jasper jumper, it is attached to the fixed appliances. These are the fixed, the brackets, these are the fixed appliances in the upper and in the lower arch. In the upper arch there is the molar band, and in the lower arch there are the brackets. So the Jasper jumper, it is constructed of the stainless steel, which is attaches both to the upper as well as to the lower arch. Fine. So in this is the module. This is the module. Fine. So the module, it is given as an opaque polyurethane covering. Why? For the purpose of oral hygiene and comfort. Fine. So the Jasper jumper, it is available in the 7 sizes. These are ranging from 26 mm to 38 mm in length. Again, important for your MCQ. Now in this, the end cap, these are the end caps. These are attached to the fixed appliances at a maxillary posterior and in the mandibular anterior region. So the force module, so in this, the force module, it is attached posteriorly to the maxillary arch by a ball pin. This is the ball pin in the maxillary arch. Fine. And anteriorly, this is anteriorly the module. This is the module. It is attached, or it is anchored to the lower arch wire. This is the arch wire, and the module, it is anchored to the lower arch wire, which is present distal to the canine. This is the canine, and it is present distal to the canine by a small bayonet band. So this is the bayonet band, and a Lexan bead. This is the Lexan bead. Fine. So this is all about the Jasper jumper. Very important points regarding the Jasper jumper, the advantages which are commonly asked as an MCQ. So it produces the continuous forces. First, in this, it does not require any patient compliance. Third, it allows greater degree of mandibular freedom than that of the herb step lines. Fourth is, oral hygiene is easy to maintain in Jasper jumper. Fine. So guys, this is all about the myofunctional appliances. Please go through it once and try to make the notes. Thank you.